Primetime News brings you the latest developments from within and beyond Namibian borders. Good evening and thanks for joining us. I'm Michael Madimba. Leading our bulletin tonight, President Nangolo Mbumba departed for South Africa this afternoon to attend the second inauguration of re-elected South African President Cyril Ramaphosa on Wednesday. Primetime News producer Conjenia Mbinga was at the airport and filed this report.
Our historic relationship is solid. The people of South Africa have spoken. Nobody forced them to do what they did. Voluntarily elected the leaders, and now the leaders have also come together to make sure that the country remain governable, that peace and stability remain. And so the relationship with its neighbors is not even in question. It's not even a question. There is no question about that. That is why we are going to witness the inauguration, the second inauguration of President Ramaphosa, to wish them well, to indicate that we are here, we have nowhere to go as neighbors, and that we will continue to work together for the benefit of all our peoples.
On to some rather unfortunate news that transpired earlier today. A fatal accident occurred on the Otavi-Otjiwarongo B1 road in the Otjiwarongo region, claiming the lives of 8 people. Namibian Police Force Head of Community Affairs in the region, Senior Inspector Maureen Bear, in an interview with her channel, confirmed the accident, saying 2 vehicles from opposite directions were involved in the head-on collision.
According to Mbeha, the accident occurred some 20 kilometers south of Otavi, and it is reported that 8 occupants from a 7-seater all lost their lives at the scene. Preliminary police investigations indicate that a vehicle traveling from the direction of Otjiwarongo was allegedly overtaking another vehicle when it collided head-on with an oncoming 7-seater, killing all occupants. Namibia Police Force members were still busy attending to the scene, and police investigations continue. Sylvia Shandali reporting for Primetime News.
We will keep tracking this developing story for you. We from Primetime News convey our sincere condolences to the bereaved and affected families. Now, the SADC Parliamentary Forum Secretary General Boyemo Sekgoma has issued a reminder to the world, particularly the Southern African region, regarding the pressing issues of desertification and drought. Sekgoma made the call on Monday, urging member parliaments to commemorate the United Nations World Day to combat desertification and drought. Andreas Thomas brings us our next story.
The International Day, observed every year on 17 June, aims to raise awareness about desertification and drought. This year, it is observed under the theme United for Land, Our Legacy, Our Future. SADC Parliamentary Forum PF Secretary General Boyemo Sekgoma, on the occasion of the United Nations World Day, said during this occasion, SADC is reminded of the urgent need to address the challenges of desertification and drought, which are critical issues for the SADC region. She further added that the region is particularly vulnerable to the impact of land degradation, which threatens food security, water availability, and the livelihoods of millions of African citizens. Assessments such as the 2022-2032 SADC Drought Risk Management and Mitigation Strategy have reported that both the frequency and severity of droughts in the SADC region are projected to increase in the coming years. Sekoma said the SADC PF developed its strategic plan, which reinforces its commitment to supporting parliaments in the region to track and assess vulnerability to drought and develop mitigation mechanisms. Konjeni Ambinga reporting for Primetime News.
Now, the National Council Standing Committee on Transport, Infrastructure and Housing conducted an engagement with stakeholders in Swakopmund this morning regarding a motion on the need to provide land for the urban poor and landless citizens. Here is an insert from the engagement.
Strengthening the capacity of local authorities and stakeholders is another aspect that is essential for effective land administration and management. Training and capacity building initiatives will enable them to better serve their communities. As we deliberate on the strategies to provide land for the urban poor and landless citizens, let us remember that our efforts are not merely about land allocation. They are about restoring dignity, providing security, and creating opportunities for economic empowerment. The Namibian government remains committed to this cause, and we do it alone. It requires a multifaceted approach that involves all stakeholders: government, private sector, civil society, development partners and communities to make this vision a reality.
Stay tuned for your top roundup with the business segment thereafter. Welcome to Primetime Biz, your premier source for all things business. Namibian Agronomic Board Chief Executive Officer Fidelis Mwazi stated that the domestic agronomic industry has significantly increased its production over the past 5 years. Mwazi made these remarks during an information sharing event held in the capital earlier today. Here is an insert produced by Sylvia Hashandali.
Our total average over the last 5 years in terms of our total demand or consumption, it stands at around 178,000 metric tons. Now, out of that, I mentioned also to say 52% is more or less locally produced, which is equivalent to, in the good rainfall years, the highest we produced was around 98,000 metric tons. Now, in the current situation, based on the issue of droughts that we have experienced, that has impacted more on our local production, we are only expecting around 33,000 metric tons. So 33,000 metric tons is almost 18% of our total demand. So that means equivalent, if we are to use the last 5 years average, it means 145,000 metric tons still needs to be brought up from outside as imports to meet our average demands in terms of white maize. So that is very significant. I think if you look at that aspect, it means equivalent also. If you look at that, it's almost like we need to spend $1 billion Namibian will be spent out of purchasing these, because the current average price of white maize per ton is around 7,000.
From the green economy to the banking landscape. The Bank of Namibia and the Development Bank of Namibia signed a memorandum of understanding on Monday, agreeing to combine their expertise and resources to promote the development of the domestic economy. Andreas Thomas filed this report.
The MOU establishes a framework for cooperative engagement aiming to facilitate collaboration on initiatives that promote economic growth and development in Namibia. This includes sharing relevant data and information, conducting joint research, and organizing economic seminars, and working on projects that address specific developmental challenges. Bank of Namibia Deputy Governor Leonid Dunn and Development Bank of Namibia Chief Executive Officer John Statler signed the agreement in Windhoek. Dunn said their collaboration embodies the spirit of unity and progress as they leverage their combined expertise to strengthen the resilience of the economy and deliver meaningful impact. On his part, Statler said that the 3-year collaboration marks a significant milestone in the two entities' shared commitment to fostering economic growth and sustainable development across the nation. Sylvia Shandali reporting for Primetime News.
This is where the top segment concludes for tonight. We now consult the weather oracle on tomorrow's countrywide weather conditions, followed up by a roundup of the latest economic news. Welcome to Sport Planet, the segment dedicated to all things sport in action. We commence with Euro 2024 news. In Netherlands midfielder Tiani Reinders said earlier today his side believes France superstar Kylian Mbappe will recover from his broken nose in time for Friday's crucial Euro 2024 matchup. Now, Mbappe broke his nose in Monday's 1-0 win over Austria and is in doubt for the match between the two European heavyweights, which could decide top placing in Group D. I think he will be fine, the AC Milan midfielder said. I think we will see him later on with a mask. Mbappe is a great footballer and you have to deal with injuries as a player. Mbappe was dangerous in the win and laid on the only goal of the match when his pass bounced off the head of Austria defender Maximilian Wöber and into the goal. On to the world of rugby. Flanker Peter Steph du Toit will captain under-strength world champion South Africa in a one-off test against Wales at Twickenham on Saturday. The 2019 and 2023 Rugby World Cup winner got the nod ahead of fellow forwards Bongi Bonambi and Eben Etzebeth for the Springboks' first match since winning the World Cup in France last October. Du Toit will be hoping for better luck against Wales in London this weekend as he led South Africa in a narrow defeat to the Welsh, also in a season opener 6 years ago. Du Toit as captain the record four-time world champions as the test is being played outside the international window, which bars France-based regular captain Siya Kolisi. Stay tuned for your sports roundup. This concludes Tuesday's edition of Primetime News. Before I sign off, please remember to follow the on-screen prompts and subscribe to the Number TV platform to stay updated on developments shaping the global village. From myself, Michael Madimba, and my tireless production team, it's adios.